Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Solio Analytics podcast. We're slightly late podding this week. I mean, this is a Thursday evening. By the time you hear this, it's a Friday morning, but for good reason. Johnny, we had Carabao Cup results. We were thinking, should we pod on Wednesday? And what did you message me? Let's hope for some chaos. Did we get chaos?
Yeah, I was away at Hibs against Rangers.
Nice.
Instead of to distract myself from the chaos of the EFL Cup results, I knew I'd be too nervous and too excited. So I was like, I must go do something else. And yeah, Hibs were not very good. That's not the story. I'm rambling. Yes, Palace fans were chaos fans. That's what people wanted. Is if you wanted stuff to happen, you needed Palace to beat Liverpool, because Palace making the EFL Cup quarter-final is the same midweek as the last day of the UEFA Conference League, which they're in.
Correct.
Much to their annoyance, they didn't want to be in that one either.
Which they didn't even qualify for last year.
And
but
also, guess who is out of the EFL Cup already?
Nottingham Forest.
They were out in the last round. Wouldn't have had any clashes, because we would have had this last year. Chelsea were in the Conference League, but they got knocked out, I think, in this round 4. So they didn't make the quarterfinal. So this clash was possible last year, but didn't happen. So we don't have as much to go off apart from speculation. So it's my least favourite part of the where do the fixtures go, which is what do the governing bodies think? What do the clubs think? What do the politics of it all? Give me some.
Well, let's start.
Give me
with
some
that.
nice numbers and permutations, and I'll work it out. But
yeah, let's go to Tala's slide. I think Tala Nadeem,
Yes.
who's on X, and if you want to follow him, it's at Tala_Nadeem. 90, I want to say. I think it says a 90 there. Yes, _90. So Tala_Nadeem_90. And this is a really nice schedule of everything that happens. It's my go-to. Like, if there's anything, if I want to see what happens in the midweek of Gameweek 24, I go to this visual. So talk us through it, JC. What's the issue with Gameweek 16 then that you mentioned?
Yeah, so essentially, we've got the weekends on one side and then the midweeks on the other side. There's 3 columns, and I'm talking for the audio listeners, but essentially, like, most Premier League games are at the weekend, most European games are midweek, most cup games are midweek. So we had Game Week 9 last weekend, and then we had the cup this week, and then it's Game Week 10 this weekend, and then it's the UEFA one, and then it's 11, and then it's the international break, and we have a break for 2 weeks. And normally that all fits in, and people have different rounds. So I think, Game Week 4 and 5, it was the EFL Cup round 3, but also the UEFA competitions. So that was split over 2 weeks, depending on which UEFA competition you're in. But there's one midweek the first midweek that we have a potential clash, is if you're in the EFL Cup quarter-finals and the European UEFA Conference League, which Crystal Palace now are, having been demoted in pre-season by Nottingham Forest and having made the quarterfinals, beating Liverpool last night. So now there's
So
two
you
games.
see that in the white box
Game Week 16.
next to Game Week 16.
So like mid-December. Then currently where it's going to fit is the EFL Cup games are probably going to be on the Tuesday and the Wednesday, depending on which TV coverage picks it up. But then Palace are meant to play on the Thursday again. So at the minute, if nothing moves from where it's initially intended to be, then Palace will have to play on the Thursday in midweek of 15, the Sunday in Game Week 16, then the Tuesday against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, then the Thursday. It is at home. They're not away off in Cyprus or somewhere. But then again, the Sunday. So it's 4 games in 7 days or so, 8 days, including some 1-day gaps rather than 2-day gaps, which is less than the sufficient amount they're meant to do. We have had clashes a bit like this before, where I think it was Liverpool. It wasn't quite the same. Liverpool had to play a reserve team in the cup because they were playing the World Club Cup somewhere else.
Yeah, they were in 2 different countries
so
or continents,
Mexico
even
or wherever it was. And then they just sent the youth team to go and play their League Cup. But there is a potential solution that allows Palace to not have to do all these games, which is what we're kind of speculating might happen, which is if they move the League Cup game to the Game Week 17 weekend, when there's meant to be Premier League
So
games.
let's go to the next slide, then that has the 17 fixtures. I think before you go to that,
I'll jump back.
I just want to say one thing, that on Thursday, Actually, no, you can shift
Okay.
the slide. But what I mean is, before we talk about this, it should be said that Dale Johnson, who used to,
Yes.
the Dale Johnson from VAR, ESPN
That's the one.
fame, has now moved to
Fame.
BBC. And he has tweeted today that the likeliest outcome is the one that you've just mentioned, which is that Palace will just have to suck it up
Yeah.
and just have to play. But in his article, hidden in several places are speculation that what you're just about to tell us is also possible. So, how does a double game week and a blank game week happen then?
Yeah, so I think this is the solution that we think fits. So a lot of us as FPL fixture planners will go, get quite high on, and also we like double game weeks. So it might not be what happens, as you said. Dale Johnson said it might not happen. They're talking about potential pile up. Clubs might just have to suck it up, depends who's in charge. But basically, they can move the quarterfinal, so Arsenal Palace. So essentially, this one on the left is meant to be the midweek of game week 16, and then game week 17 is on the weekend. So if they move Arsenal Palace from the midweek to the weekend, game week 17, then that would mean that Crystal Palace could play against, I forgot what team it is in the Conference League, on their normal midweek on the Thursday. They play Arsenal on the Sunday in the
Carabao Cup game.
Cup,
Yep.
while everyone else plays Premier League games, which means that Crystal Palace against Leeds and Everton against Arsenal would have to move because they're meant to be at the weekend. But Leeds Crystal Palace has no real issues with going into a later midweek. So actually game week 22 or 23 has some space for it, because that's when I'll go back to Tal's one just to remind me. 22, 23. Oh yes, it's I think it's the UEFA competitions that they're not in, because the Conference League only plays 6 games, which is why
Correct.
they have this one when the cup's on and not ones later. And Everton Arsenal would have to move and would have less space for it. But if Arsenal made it into the top 8 of the Champions League, there's 2 midweeks where there's like Champions League playoffs.
26, 27.
Or it would fit in the midweek that's now been vacated by Arsenal's cup game, because they're now playing at the weekend. Everton are out of the cup. So the game week 16 midweek, when Cardiff play Chelsea, City play Brentford, and Newcastle play Fulham, you can put Everton Arsenal Premier League in there. So you are moving 2 Premier League games to account for 1 EFL Cup game, which they haven't really done before. But it is a sort of a neater solution. And if they do that, it would give us a double game week 16 for Arsenal and Everton, because they'd have a Premier League game in the midweek when the Cups are on. But then they would blank in 17 because the game's moved and Arsenal are playing Palace. And Leeds and Palace would also blank in 17. But that can't come forward to 16 because Palace are playing in the Conference League. So that would go to later, 22, 23, even later than that if they see no reason to. Palace might go out of the Conference League, and then there's, less midweeks. There's more free midweeks for them, I suppose. So that's the permutations. But yeah, it is now down to who budges. Does the Premier League budge? Does Sky budge? Does the club kick up enough of a fuss?
And in terms of clubs,
yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think motivations here, right? So Everton will be happy if it moves because they get to play Arsenal, quicker.
Yes,
they won't have the
earlier.
Although Arsenal would have otherwise played Crystal Palace. So not really, because Arsenal would have played let's assume that it's the Dale Johnson scenario, that it does happen on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
Everton don't play, so they get a free midweek, and then they play Arsenal, who would have just played a Carabao Cup game.
Yes.
But in Everton's case, I think it's equal. Either they play after 3 days or they play after a full rest, but then Arsenal usually rest in the Carabao Cup. I think the team that is likely to reject this is Leeds.
Yeah.
Because Leeds have a home game to Crystal Palace, who are going to be knackered, having played 3 games in 6 days, and then they show up after another 2 days to play them. That just feels like they can block it. Now, can they block it completely? No. But it feels like Leeds could be one that would say, you know what? Yeah, we don't want to move our fixture.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it quite fits, but Everton, because this is just before teams start going off to AFCON. So Senegal play the following Tuesday. So I guess Iliman and Diaye and Idrissa Gana Gueye wouldn't be able to play if they played it on the Sunday in week 17. But if it's in the midweek, then they might still be around, but they might have to go a bit later. I think there was also talk just now of Egypt playing a
English.
friendly, then actually
Yeah,
Salah
yeah.
might need to go earlier, and they might.
So
miss
even 16 is under threat.
So 16 might not actually benefit Everton in any way. Although I guess if the cup game's on the Tuesday and Arsenal are playing on the Sunday, like I guess their game could move to the Saturday in game week 16, because otherwise Arsenal have got a 1 day gap.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit for anybody. But yeah, Leeds will want to play tired Crystal Palace. Because also the obvious solution in terms of Palace of, okay, if we've been given this schedule of all these games in this short span, is to play a reserve team in the Conference League if they're already through, because they're like, okay, well, this doesn't affect it. But that means they're still playing their first team on Sunday in game week 16 and Tuesday in game week 16 midweek against Arsenal. So you're still getting a period of not enough break, unless they put it on the Wednesday to give them enough space, but then they have to go away to Arsenal on the Wednesday and then send the reserve team on the Thursday, and I'm not entirely sure. But the thing is that these cup TV draws are usually out within a week or so in previous rounds, in last rounds. So sometimes they get delayed. Obviously, that's how TV packages work. But we are probably expecting the TV and dates for these cup games, whether they're on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, or if they announce the other 3 games but not Arsenal Palace, then there's a signal that they're discussing something. So hopefully by game week 11, we'll have some more info. We might even be told, there's no blanks, like just nothing, forget about it. But we also might get info that it's happening on the game week 17 weekend, in which case we know that the blank's happening, but we don't know if the double's happening, because that'll be down to the Premier League for a bit later. So info drop, game week 10 to 11. So if you can roll and get some more info, then there is some info specifically coming next week rather than the generic. Every week you get some more info, don't you? But
correct,
yes,
correct.
Hopefully we'll get some more.
So can I just summarize for people? So there's a decent chance, according to Dale Johnson, that nothing happens. You don't need to worry about it. There's no blanks. There's no doubles. They've just Crystal Palace suck it up or play a second string team in their Conference League tie, and that's just how it is. So that's scenario number 1. You can put your own percentages on it. What would you put that percentage on?
I mean, we joke about in the Discord server, we joke about 50-50 being it happens or it doesn't, and you just assign that to everything. But I would say pretty 50-50 at the minute.
50-50. Okay. Yeah. And then the second scenario that we've talked about, and we're going to actually show you in the model how you can model for this uncertainty if we go to the demo of the model and the fixtures slide. But the second scenario is that only the Arsenal-Everton fixture or the Everton-Arsenal fixture moves to game week 16, giving a double game week for Everton and Arsenal. But the Leeds Crystal Palace fixture does move from game week 17, but it moves to a later date because they physically can't play in game week 16.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. 50% chance of a blank, a lower likelihood of a double, I would say.
I mean, there's still a chance that they punt Everton Arsenal to a later week, and they don't fancy bringing it forward and it doesn't fit or whatever.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if they put it in game week 26, then Everton have got their African players back. They might push for that, or
and Arsenal might not finish top 8 in the Champions League. They may reach the final of the Carabao Cup, causing a blank. They may reach the semi-final of the FA Cup, causing another
pressure to bring it forward if they have to move it. But then that might be a reason not to move it at all, and it's very complicated. Yeah, I'd say about 50-50 on whether we get a blank, and maybe 80% we get a double if we get a blank. If that makes sense, 40%
so
overall.
40.
But really, we are kind of guessing. There's no real steer on this. When they're direct consequences of cup progressions, we can work out. So you could work out how likely Palace were to qualify fairly accurately past Liverpool from the market odds and team strength models. And you go, okay, I can work that out. But then it's now I need to work out how likely it is that Dale Johnson's right, and we don't know. So we're guessing. But there's no certainty on it at all.
So before we go to the demo, Jonny, on the model, let's just quickly touch upon, we don't want to scare people here. We don't want to say you should be planning for game week 31, but it's just to complete the conversation on the Carabao Cup, that for people to know that the finalists, remember last season, it was game week 29 when the final of the Carabao Cup happened, and that caused a blank. This season, it's game week 31, right?
Yes, I've actually got the wrong screen up. There we go.
Oh, there we go. That's the one.
Fine. I'll just swap it. I'll do it on the fly. It's good. Yeah, what are you doing in March? What's the plan? So essentially, I mean, this is the cup final. Yeah, so this is game week 29 from last year. What we do know now is that it's very likely we get 2 blanks. Right. Because there's only one non-Premier League team left in, which is Cardiff. So if Cardiff made the final, then only one of these fixtures would be affected by whoever their opponent is. But we know there will be at least 1 blank because it can't be a Cardiff-Wrexham final or whatever. The other situation where we only get 1 blank is if City play Palace, because that is the game week 31 fixture. So then there's 2 Premier League teams in there, but there's only 1 fixture that's moving. So yeah, so these are the games that... So Wolves, Arsenal can move. Newcastle, Sunderland can move. Maybe that's one they don't want to move, but I guess they have to. City, Palace, obviously. Leeds, Brentford. Brentford make it all the way. Spurs, Forest, and Fulham, Burnley have to stay there. They won't be moving. Everton, Chelsea can move. Brighton, Liverpool is staying in 31. Bournemouth, Man United is staying in 31. And Villa, West Ham is staying in 31. So all that happens is these ones... They probably move to 33 or 36 when the free midweeks are, but we saw last year that the Liverpool game against Villa, I think it was, came forwards.
So there were lots that were
there was all
moved
sorts of
provisionally.
permutations, yeah. So I think Newcastle Crystal Palace was the only one that was definitely that wouldn't have moved forward. Of the 4
Arsenal
that
would have
moved
had they
Arsenal
won.
would have moved, Spurs would have moved, so they all would have come forward, but in the end only one came forward and Newcastle Palace went back. And then they put it on a Champions League midweek. And we all got confused. Like,
that was a strange one. But, so I think if they've set the precedent, then I'm inclined to say that the same could happen again. So I think what we're trying to tell people here is that game week 31 could have 2 blanks, or is likely to have 2 blanks. But it's also possible that game week 26 and 27, which were last season's equivalent of 24 and 25, could be the ones when the Champions League have their playoffs. And if those teams are in their top 8, then they could possibly also have a conditional double announced. Why is that important? It's important because you want to enter that period with a healthy stack of transfers. So if you're thinking about future planning, if you're thinking about game week 16 and beyond, don't go shopping with your 5 free transfers and be done with it in game week 18. I mean, you can, and then you can accumulate them again by 24. But that's just why a lot of managers, a lot of engaged, seasoned managers, if that's a term, will be looking to hold their transfers around this period where there could be provisional announcements. And like last season, it was 2 days before the actual deadline.
Yeah. So we'd get a bit more notice this time because of the way the semi-finals are scheduled. They're just before game week 25, but it would be quite late. I guess we'd have the provisional announcement. But yeah, this game week 20 to 30 period, we might have a double game week 22 with Leeds and Palace. We might have 2 doubles in game week 26 and so on, in which case the 5 transfers you got in game week 16 would be really useful to have. So actually being topped up to 5 and then being able to hold them and go, okay, I'm going to use them on the doubles rather than, moving your AFCON players out. Or if you've got your free hit left, then that would be useful in the blank rather than having to use the transfers to manage it and so on and so on. So we'll get much closer. We'll get much nearer. You'll have more chips by then. You're getting 5 free transfers in game week 16. Not too much to worry about, but just to give you an idea of the kind of things that could move around ahead of time.
There's no assistant manager chip to play this year, so you also can also hold your chips and not worry about it. So let's go to the site.
Yes.
And let's see now if my belief was that Dale Johnson is wrong. Okay. I believe this fixture is going to move. So how do I do that? How do I do that in my projections?
Yes, actually, let me bring up the full... You can ignore my tree temporarily, but if I go on my information...
This is some daunting tree.
I'll go on this one down the bottom. This small, just demo one. I'll hide it. There we are. One plan. So if I click on my information here, I then click on fixtures, then you can see we've already highlighted the 2 that could move. And if I hover over each one, I actually get I put some small probabilities in just to give people a guide of where they might go. So I can see the Everton Arsenal can go into 16, whereas the Leeds Palace one is unset or 17. So I'll leave it in 17.
So you have set this, or is this already preset?
This is preset by Solio. So this doesn't actually do anything. It's just to give you an idea of where they might go. So that if you haven't got the information, or you go, okay, I want to see what the permutations are, I can hover over Everton Arsenal and get a rough idea. We actually put these in before Dale Johnson released his thing, so I think we'd be more likely to stay in 17. But I can just drag it across. I can actually move any fixture. So I can click on this thing and move all of them. And I could move West Ham Villa back to, maybe they balance it out for no reason. I'll put that back. I'll reset it actually. And then we'll go Everton across. There we are. And Leeds we'll put into 22. And that's their double. So Leeds double with Fulham, and Crystal Palace double with Sunderland and Leeds. Everton Arsenal here. We've got Everton doubling with Chelsea away, and Arsenal will play Wolves at home, if that were the double. Right. And then we have 2 blanks in 17 because they've moved. And what that means is that in the projections, it's all updated for me. So if I go to Gameweek 16, I can see that you can triple captain Gabriel if you want to. He's got 10 projected points, quite a lot. But then a blank, nothing in 17. So I can plan that way. So then I can just run solves in the same way that I did before. But I'll just swap back to the projections.
Excellent.
Yes. So have you got any chips you want to use in this double? Is that the plan? Or should we get to
I would. I mean, if this would happen, then free hit 17 becomes very interesting because you don't want to sell your Arsenal players for that blank in 17. You might want to sell your Palace players, but if they're doubling in 16, then I want to... Well, they're not. Everton might be. Then, yeah, I think free hit 17 still makes a lot of sense because people have a lot of Leeds, Crystal Palace, Arsenal players, and some Everton even. So...
Yeah, I think
I would,
Arsenal's the big impactful one because people have Arsenal and are kind of struggling to get on the right 3 because there's so many good ones. So, yeah, most people have 3 at the minute, and maybe they don't have them by that point and they've got transfers to move them out. But I think that's the one where you go, okay, if I have Saka and Gabriel and Timber and they're all blanking in 17, but they have double just before it, then I definitely don't want to sell them. Or I can sell them and free hit them back in or whatever. But I think someone I was looking at was Mateta, who actually, not Mateta, Sarr, or Mateta as well. But Ismaila Sarr actually doesn't matter hugely because if I actually just expand the horizon a little bit more, you can see he's got 0 points in 17, 18, 19 and 20 anyway because he's off to AFCON. So actually he's one where I was already going to have to move him on. So actually his projections this upcoming period being very good anyway. I think that's, at what point do you start saying, I'm not going to buy him because he's going to AFCON? Same sort of question. At what point do you not buy them because they might have a blank?
Or a fourth, fifth yellow.
Yeah, or how much better does he have to be to buy him because he's maybe got a double? If I'm buying a defender, do I want the Everton one or the better one? Or maybe they're the same. But which Palace guys are you looking at? Who'd you like?
So, I already had Sarr.
Yes.
I've already done an early transfer for João Pedro to Mateta. So I've got the top 2. Okay. And I'm looking at Lacroix because if Anderson is out, then I need a good defender. So this is getting into my team a little bit, which I'll come to when we talk about bus teams. But I think more generically, the question is, if I compare Sarr with other midfielders, if I compare Mateta with other forwards, people might say, am I doubling up on Palace? Is it too much? Is it too many eggs in one basket? I think the question is, who else would you go if you weren't doubling up? And the question is, Sarr actually projects really well in this period compared to other midfielders, and Mateta compares really well to other forwards in that period as well. So I think that's the way people need to think about it if they have free transfers and the ability to do so. So for the example of those people holding Ndai, our projected points tell you that actually probably not worth it to do the Ndai to Sarr move because their projected points are very similar.
Across,
On the other hand, if you're sitting on Reinders, it's probably worth it.
Where's he gone?
So I think that's the way to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also you might disagree with our minutes prospects on him. I think we've got him as probably still starts, but there's certainly some question marks over him. So yeah, I want to move out. If you've got the money, Sarr seems like a great buy there. Szoboszlai still popping up near the top. Might be someone I look at in a couple of weeks.
He's good, man. He's good, yeah.
I joked about him a couple of weeks ago, and here we are. I owned him last year.
Got DEFCON. Do you know he has the most number of DEFCONs of all midfielders in the game?
Yep. I mean,
in the game,
playing
who would have thought?
90 minutes every game gives him more chance to do that. But also, that's a reason. That's a good reason It's not like he's fluked it. It's just someone's missed a few games. And if you play in all over the place, then you can do, play it right back. That's fine. You got the DEFCONs, play up front. That's fine. You're going to score.
Exactly.
Play in goal. That's fine. You're still taking the free kicks in the corners. Don't know. Yeah, he's good. He's pretty strong. And Liverpool got this quite nice run. Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds. And I suppose that's probably why people want Salah or not Salah or Szoboszlai can cover Salah. But yes, Sar's up there until he goes off and doesn't have any fixtures. One of the best ones. And you said forwards. I need to bring the price range up a bit. Yeah, Mateta is. That's Gyökeres with a double game week, and he's still almost as good.
Exactly, that's big. Like his numbers have been good. His projected numbers are good. His historical numbers in terms of big chances missed, but he still got the big chances. Have been great. And so from that point of view, it's just, both are just good picks in isolation. That's my view anyway. And I will say that because I own both.
Well, yes, I suppose that's a sort of self-fulfilling. Are they good because you bought them or are they good therefore you bought them?
I have this ability to, I have to rant about Gordon. Like we've talked about him.
Dear.
You obviously watched the Newcastle match. How does Murphy miss the one-on-one when Gordon is the one assisting and he scores the one before that? How does Bruno Guimaraes miss that header and then he scores the one after that? I'm just like, how do I get points here? When will Gordon do something?
I don't know. I think that's just selection bias. He's doing it all in Europe, which some people find very frustrating. But I think I owned him in one of the formats that counts the European games, and I got both his penalties against USG, and I was like, oh, well, lovely.
I actually like
and
it.
everyone was like, Gordon scoring penalties, that's good for penalties, but I want the goals. And I was like, oh, well.
I'm one of those that like it when my players score midweek. Like, think about the example of Ollie Watkins or Wirtz, right? Like, they were dire, like in midweek and in the Premier League. What happens? Their minutes go down.
Yeah.
Their form goes down. Confidence, expected points go down. At least with Gordon, if you're in form in the Champions League, if you're scoring, if you're banging them in, maybe your minutes stay good or stay decent as much as Gordon's can be. Your form, your confidence is still there. I know I've said form and confidence on an analytics podcast twice now, but I apologize to our listeners
things.
And our viewers.
They're just not always as predictive as you think they
But you know what I mean? Like being in the goal-scoring form, even midweek, is a good thing. And let's just say at a very fundamental level in terms of minutes, right? The more you score, the more minutes you get in the Premier League. Like Voltemade is showing this. He scored a few. He's now playing every single game. He's playing every single game and getting good minutes.
I think it's kind of the same thought process I often try and tell people when they get annoyed with some bench points, someone they benched. And it's like, if you think, given that they're on your bench, you want them not to score. But actually, if you go the other way and go, given that they've scored, you'd rather they were on your bench than not in your squad, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There's this amazing player. Do you own him? Yes, I've got him next week. It's annoying I missed him this week, but I own him. So Gordon's taking penalties suddenly in the Champions League. It's annoying that he got them there and I didn't get them in the Premier League, but he's now better than he was before as an asset. So it is frustrating, but I think that's kind of what you've got to hope for. If your team's good, your bench players will score points and your players will score goals, not in the Premier League. If they're bad, sadly, Watkins and Wirtz, then they won't do well anywhere. And you go,
or pretty much any attacker you could have owned this previous game. Yeah. But we digress.
João Pedro, maybe he's the one everyone's moving on. I think it makes sense. So, it's a bit of a shame that he's got Wolves in 11, but I think actually with Brentford at home and Brighton at home for Mateta.
This is the thing. Swap. Even on expected points, even for Wolves at home, Mateta's higher. So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, he's higher this week. I think he's a little bit lower next week.
A little bit lower.
Yeah, okay. It's 0.3, but then he gains 0.9. You can put your own beliefs in. You can go, I think Chelsea attack is worse than that, and Palace attack is better. Well, I could do that now even. I guess go Chelsea attack, not good. Palace attack, good. Does that swap them? Now we've got Mateta at 4.7, and they're much closer.
We've gamed the system. Guys, this is how you use Solio.
This is how we all
get
use
the
it.
output.
Be like, I don't want João Pedro, so let's do that. No, I'll reset it.
Did I make you move Man United 4 weeks ago? And look how good our attack is. So my beliefs were right.
Maybe Solio is linked to, if I'll do, there we are, Newcastle over there. I'll reset it before I forget.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
As a Gordon owner, I'm okay with that.
What was it? Which Palace guys am I looking at? I think Sarr is probably going to come in for me this week. I think we'll get onto it in the team selection. But I like Mateta. Mateta is someone I'd pick on my wild card. And I do this thing where I just own them in a different format to say that I do think they're good. I'm just not picking them here.
Right.
So I have Mateta investment, but just not in Premier League, in FPL even.
Right.
So because I have Haaland and Gyökeres and Mateta, I don't feel like Gyökeres to Mateta is the move I want to make now, at least in and of itself. It does free up a bit of funds, and it would, like, if the best replacement for my defender is an Arsenal guy, then maybe I will swap the Arsenal guys around, but I think Mateta's not someone I need now. His minutes prospects are probably better now that Nketiah's had that knock. But you could also draw it the other way and say, well, they don't have a backup now, so they need to be more protective of him. And I'd say, yeah, Nketiah's been coming on for Pino or Jeremy anyway. So I'd say like Mateta's probably still pretty locked and has
He's
the
pretty
penalties
good.
and
Pretty good.
yeah. Doesn't seem as certain in Devaney or Esse. It'll probably be Uche coming in at some point. But yeah, and then defensively, I think Munoz versus Lacroix is a bit of a consideration. People are looking at Munoz is the sexier pick. He's
the sexy pick, but on expected points, actually, Solio is quite higher, a little bit higher on Lacroix.
It's very close. Yeah, I think it's just the defcons. I mean, Munoz can hit defcons as well, and Lacroix's attacking threat is less consistent, but he can pop up with a goal here and there.
He can.
Whereas Munoz is going to be attacking down the wing and creating lots of chances that might get an assist, but a goal's worth twice as much as an assist for a defender, so it's rarer. Like, you can spike a goal, but Munoz will get 2 assists and look attacking. So I don't think he's worth 0.7 more, but I can see why people want to, because he's more fun to watch from I'm invested in this game outcome point of view.
Also, sometimes
especially when
people
Richards
look
keeps
at
getting the defcons, and you're like,
when people look at the whole horizon and compare Lacroix versus Munoz, what they miss is that Lacroix is projected more defcon in the harder games, where actually you may not start him. So if you look at the rotation, Munoz would still make sense, even though his expected points would over the horizon may not be as high as Lacroix. And you can also change your beliefs, right? You can also say, I think Munoz is even better than what he's projected. So, but even despite that, I just wanted to make this point that you may see Munoz pop up in your optimal team, and you go, why is the model doing that? It's because in the weeks where you want to play him, he's better. So
yeah, it's maximizing the squad
the
points, not just the individual player points.
Correct.
But that's the other good thing about the attacking defenders is that their EV week to week should spike a bit more, because they're getting attacking threat in the good clean sheet games rather than sort of the dampening effect that the defcons is bringing in. So it kind of flattens it a bit. So they're good. So it kind of depends what you want. Is it going to be your starting, player most of the time, and then you've got your cheap guy to come on and sub in when you need him? Or is this your fourth defender who plays when you have an injury and when they have a good fixture? So there's a bit of that involved as well. But yeah, lots of strong players.
Okay.
I think just Henderson's probably the only one I wouldn't go for, because there's enough attacking outfield players. Or Pino. He just seemed to keep coming
Mitchell.
off at 59 minutes. Well, yeah, no, Mitchell. You might as well just get the centre back. I don't think you're getting enough.
Exactly.
I like Mitchell as a player, but yeah, I'm not.
Of course, but he misses the odd game. But speaking of your team,
yes,
tell us, how are you getting Sarr?
This is my team. How am I getting Sarr? So
you have how many free transfers? This shows 0.
5. I've used 0 out of 5.
Right.
I have 5.
Yes,
I haven't used them. Yeah. Yes. So I have to do something. I've got 0.3 in the bank. So yeah, the team looks fairly good, but I have sort of slightly stacked up some of these problems week on week, because each week it's not been an issue I need to fix or a thing I've wanted to fix in a nice way, and I wanted to get to game week 10 and have these League Cup results because it was going to be important for general strategy. Because I think what I've slightly figured out now is the original plan was to bench boost in 17 And I thought I was probably going to bench boost in 17 even if there was a blank, because actually it all fitted still quite nicely. But Arsenal being the potential blank and increasing the chances of a double game week 16 in the event of a blank game week, as well as having, I've got Raya and I've got some other players, then it makes it a lot trickier to do free hit 16, bench boost 17, or I could do it the other way around, bench boost in the double.
Yep.
But actually, if I go to next week or the week after, then game week 11 and 12, once I fixed a few players, my bench actually looks quite good. So I might try and aim at that one. So because I think that we're getting info between 10 and 11, I want to not use... I could do my wholesale changes now. I could do Gyökeres out, I could get Paqueta out, I could get Diakite out, who's missed a game now and probably still...
Why did he miss a game? Was there an injury or just out of favor?
I mean, I assume there was some knock, but Iraola didn't really say. Because he missed one when I first bought him.
Right.
But he was not in the squad. He had a knock.
Look at you buying minutes risk players, Johnny. I mean, come on.
I bought Diakite because I thought he wasn't a minutes risk rather than someone else. I thought, okay, well, I don't want the Arsenal defenders. I'll get Diakite. But yeah, Truffert was the one in hindsight, sadly. But I'm not bench boosting this week, so I can see if he plays next week, or is this a longer term issue? I've also got Anderson, who is probably going to be out this week, might be out 11 as well, might be out for 12. So he's someone I need info on. Anton Stack, I think, is as good as... I kind of needed to sell him anyway. Even when his minutes were being slightly reduced and he'd lost the set pieces, like it was... He's going to go at some point. Leeds fixtures are worse. So even if he gets his place back, like I still want to sell him. So I could move all of those out and then do like Gyökeres to Mateta and get Gabriel. And so I could do something like Gyökeres to Mateta, do Diakite to Gabriel. I could do Stack to, Anderson, I think is a bit cheaper. Then I forgot what else there was, like Anderson to some cheap 4 million guy. I guess I could put
Mukiele?
Yeah, Mukiele playing this week.
A good fixture
and
this
then,
week.
where else do I get the money from? Paqueta. I'm sure there was a way to do this. Enzo Lefebvre, perfect. That'll do. So, I could... Not this exactly, but like I could.
This is how elite managers make their picks. They just go, "Who's available?"
And then I do this. It's an example. Like there are quite maybe not picking up two Sunderland. Well, Sunderland are good, and they're playing. Ends of the phase on penalties. But there are ways where I can do a big shift and use my 5 transfers and kind of like build a team that I might have wildcarded into this week with my 5 transfers. But I don't think it gains me much more over just going for. Like there's no one game swap. So I think what I would probably do is I could do Virgil down to Keane or Richards or someone like that. And do Anton Stack up to Sarr. And that uses 2 transfers. It makes the team a bit stronger this week. The issue is that if Anderson's still out, then I'm playing Senesi against Man City, which is not ideal. So there's alternate ways to do that. I could do it with like Diakite out to Gabriel, and then Gyökeres to Mateta, and then I think it's Paqueta to start. I can't remember what I was doing. Something like that. There's ways to like flip it around. Maybe it was Virgil out as well. I use like 3 transfers. So the path you
choose is dependent on Anderson's update tomorrow?
Yeah,
is that
mostly. Because Anderson's the one that... Well, I guess Iraola might say something on Diakite tomorrow, but I'm expecting him not to say too much.
But even if he says on Diakite, you don't want to play him against City anyway, right? So it's Anderson.
No, but I might
without
sell
Anderson.
him instead of Virgil and do a different route and not get Sarr. Paqueta as well has said that he wants to leave in January, supposedly, which I don't think is anything, but it's another thing because he's got Burnley next week. So I don't want to sell him before Burnley, but I do generally want to sell him at some point. Basically, I want to get to game week 12 with 5 transfers. So my best moves are like 2 transfer moves this week to do 2, then roll in 11 once I've got the extra info, and then work out if I want to bench boost in 12 by using lots of the transfers, or I could bench boost with like 3 or 4 transfers and roll a few on, or I could go, okay, like I know that there's a double and a blank coming and it actually suits me to save my transfers to dead end dead end 15 to bench boost in 17 like I planned before, or
Right.
that kind of
Got
thing.
it.
So it's basically this maintenance move that I think doesn't really forego anything this week, which involves fixing a few problems, waiting on info on a few problems, and buying Ismail Assar in some form or another if I can. I don't really like the one that swaps Gyökeres to Gabriel. I think actually, given that I'm where I am now, I'd quite like to keep the double attack for Burnley and Sunderland because it's a bit different to what other people have. Right. But yeah, waiting on updates, and there's quite a few different routes. I've got 5 transfers, so I can do lots. But ideally, use 2.
No wonder you have 55 decision trees with 5 free transfers.
Yeah, that's why I've been building all this stuff out and testing.
I have never reached 5 in my whole playing career, which has been a year and a bit.
5. I reached 5 in Fan Team, where they have like unlimited rolling, which is what I'd played before when they brought it over to FPL. And I was like, oh, I've kind of done this once or twice. But then you roll it through the wild card, and I was like, that's weird. Don't do that in Fan Team. So yeah, 5, don't know, not sure. Buy Sar, fix a few problems. Virgil, I think, might come back in if I sold him, but then that would be to bench boost and buy Szoboszlai and whoever in 12, because there's some nice Liverpool fixture runs and a few swings.
I mean, 12, I think I'll just remind you it's after the international break.
Exactly.
And you know how annoying yellow flags show up after international break. So how confident will you be to just pull the plug and play bench boost when you see 2 yellow flags who you know are fine, but you're not 100%. That's my only issue with 12.
If I put Keane back in, I'll just do this quickly, and then I go stack back to Sar, and then I go to 11. 11's a good bench boost if I get positive news on everybody. So if I find out that Diakite's fine and Anderson's fine,
Anderson is fine,
is back, then I'd probably play an 11 rather than wait to 12, because I'd have Dubravka against West Ham. I guess I'd have Paqueta as well, but I'd have Thiago. Double Bournemouth defense against Villa away is good,
which is fine.
So I think, and also I then hopefully know more about the blanks and doubles. So not entirely sure, but I think that's probably my transfer plan. Actually, it's one that comes up quite a lot in these different branching paths. I could go Richards instead of Keane, but I think I would have to see. But the team looks good otherwise, and I don't mind playing Senesi this week. I don't want to, but I'd do it if I needed to, if I felt like it was buying me enough. So that's my plan. Any questions? Your turn.
No, I think it's all good. I'll go to mine. Mine is very simple, 3750. I've already made my move. I had 2 free transfers, so no, that's not Henderson. No, that's not me.
3570.
Yes.
I think you said either I typed it. We'll take the.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes.
This is it. This is right.
There he is.
Yes, of course he is.
Of course. 2 transfers.
So, 2 free transfers used to be. Now João Pedro has become Mateta already.
So I can edit that over here.
That's one done. And that was done before, so you can also edit my... No, my in the bank is fine because I got Mateta.
What did you buy him at 7.6?
7.6.
Okay, so I'll do it like that. There we go.
So this is how it looks now. And I think I can just leave it.
Same Anderson Senesi issue, but
Same Anderson Senesi. Although I do have Rodon, which I think Rodon is more playable than Senesi. I mean, there's a 0.5 difference here, but I tend to think maybe Rodon is just more reliable. I don't know, but
you're
the
also
idea
not
would be
playing a defender against your captain.
Yeah.
So you could even give.
Although everyone owns Haaland captain, so it's less in my thinking.
But,
so I would easily take a Senesi clean sheet. Like if I was playing.
But like you can stack your outcomes
correct
if you want to.
So the thinking is I could use the 0.8 and just do Anderson up to Lacroix. That was my one thing. But then I'm using up both my free transfers and the whole thing you talked about, like keeping some transfers for 12. Because in 12, I want to get Bruno, and the moves are Gordon and Enzo to Bruno and someone. And depending on how much I spend now, that someone could be...
Right. Your transfer now is going to affect who you can get.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I did the Lacroix move, it would have to be Dewsbury Hall or somebody. And then I would move to a 4-4-2 because double Arsenal defense plus Senesi plus Lacroix is pretty much 4 at the back perma play. So that would be the thinking if I did the Lacroix move now. But then the other side of me is just saying, just screw it, man. Like, especially if Marco Silva is a little bit vague about Anderson, just leave it, carry the second free transfer and take it from there.
I think some of the expectation on Anderson is that they've got a pretty big international match against Scotland, Denmark, Scotland in the international break. So that might be the one he's kind of. I feel like if I was Joachim Anderson, that's the one I'm targeting rather than trying to get back for what's game week 11, Everton away. Like if I'm an iffy for that, I'd rather play the international and then be back for game week 12. But I don't know. It depends what.
And you can see here
They have
in
struggled
my team,
a bit with their defenders. I think Calvin Bassey's had a couple of poor games, and it's the Diop. He scored a very good penalty in the League Cup. Scored the winner against Wickham, which means he might, take Anderson's spot. He's good. No, I'm joking. Yes, yeah, your team looks good.
But rolling forward, you can already see I don't need Anderson next week, right? Because Senesi away to Villa is fine. Yeah. So this is the thinking that why, if I don't need, like next week, Lacroix is, I think, 4.1. So even if I did the Anderson to Lacroix move, I'm gaining pretty much nothing next week.
It's only this week, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's only this week where I gain a healthy 1.2 EV. If I did it, but I'm losing transfer flexibility. I'm losing the ability to make the right
and
move
some
if I get Bruno
as well, yeah.
And budget if I go Bruno in game week 12, which is the likely route. But I want to leave options open. It could be Bruno and Reinders. It could be Bruno and Minte. And so for that, I think I will save the second free transfer. Unless Silva says he's out for long term. Just free hit.
Free hit, okay. So is that going to be... Yeah. If there's no blanks, I assume if there's a blank and a double, then you'll use it in one of them. But if it's just
17
singles,
13 looks, I think, the likeliest. Having done some permutations, because 13 is when Chelsea play Arsenal, so I'll have triple Arsenal. It's also now I've got a lot of Palace who play Man United, so it just all adds up to
edge. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, not just Man United are excellent now, of course.
Come on, we just moved them top right. Remember that? So it's a difficult game for these guys. So that's the thinking. But I think with free hit, I'm just going to be a little bit opportunistic rather than planning, because there is no clear week. Like game week 14 also appeals. It's a midweek where if you can spike a couple of midweek benchings and go, you know what, this guy's an X-Min's risk. Ekitike played the weekend. I'm going to get Isak home to Sunderland game week 14, then that could be it's a riskier free hit.
Yeah, there's also
as well.
I mean, they're less clear cut, but you do get some kind of like one game week injuries where they're back, and it's a nice way to deal with that, or a suspension. You get five yellow cards.
This week is a good week for that. If you think about it, you don't want your Bournemouth picks this week. They're playing Man City. You don't want Anderson this week. Ironically, this is what made me take the early transfer as well. Because I was like, you know what? This is not the worst week
scenario.
For free hit.
If you have another issue, you can free hit it. Yeah, fair enough. And then captaincy, I assume just...
It's Haaland.
You
know my view on free risk and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no free risk now. It's paid risk.
It's not even free. It's not even free.
You can pay for it if you want to. Yeah. I did end up not going for Saka last week in the end.
Oh, you did not?
No, I did go for Haaland. I think I just moved some of the numbers around, and I was like, actually, I don't actually think Saka's better than Haaland.
At 1 point, when you lose your mini league by 1 point, you'll remember that.
Having then decided I'm probably going to do it, as in Captain Haaland, they then said Saka's a small risk for the weekend, and I was like, okay, right, now. No need to worry about it. So,
and it was right. It was the right call because he got 60 odd minutes. So
and more points.
It was the right move.
Should have gone for Bruno. Should have gone for whoever. I can't remember who got the most points, but it wasn't
Bruno. Bruno got the DEFCON, right?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, I could have captained. I don't know. Raya got more points. Anyway.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for joining, for listening, and we will be back next week. But do the good stuff, like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us out, visit the website, go play with the fixture tickers in Gameweek 31 if you want, and tell us what you think.
Got some new features coming tomorrow for the Tier 3 and Tier 4 users, Wisdom of the Crowd,
excellent,
which we've been demoing a little bit.
Oh, I'm looking forward to Wisdom of a Crowd and talking about some of that on the podcast as well. So
yes, we can show it off next week. But yes, thank you, Pras.
Lovely stuff.
Good luck, everyone, and see you next week.
Good luck, everyone. See you.